I'm going to start this reading with page 177 because the last recording ended midway through 177, and it is going to end on, I'm going to go with halfway through 187. Practice 1, increase the outputs that matter. Productivity basics. The day is always his who works with serenity and great aims. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The fundamentals of becoming more productive are setting goals and maintaining energy and focus. No goals, no focus, no energy. And you're dead. Dead in the water. Productivity starts with goals. No shit. When you have clear and challenging goals, you quit quickly. No, wait, that's not what he writes. You tend to be more focused and engaged until you quit, which leads to a greater sense of flow and enjoyment in what you're doing. How hard are these goals? Because too much challenge, I think, is challenging. All right. Greater enjoyment gives you that intrinsic motivation that has been correlated with greater productivity in both quantity and quality of output. The same goes for teams. Groups that have clear and challenging goals almost always outperform those without explicit goals. Well, yeah, you can't strive for something if you don't know what you're striving for. Research consistently shows that group goals inspire people to work more quickly and for longer periods, pay more attention to the tasks that matter, become less distracted, and increase their overall effort. Energy is another huge factor in determining productivity. As we discussed in Chapter 3, almost everything you do to take good care of yourself matters in increasing your high performance. Good sleep, nutrition, and exercise are huge enhancers of productivity. I also hope it's huge enhancers of orgasms, but that's just me. Good sleep rate. Still need good sleep. And not just your productivity, the productive output of entire economies can be tied, for example, to their citizens' nutrition habits. You'll recall that capital E energy wasn't just about sleep, nutrition, and exercise, but also about positive emotions. It's an undisputed fact that happier people are more productive. In fact, one meta-analysis of over 2,750,000 people across more than 200 studies found that happy people aren't just more productive, they also receive higher evaluations for quality of work, dependability, and creativity. Well, I would like to be more creative, so I need more sleep. Another study found that students who were more cheerful in college were more financially successful than their peers over a decade after graduation. Even the old advice of smile and you'll get more done plays true. I didn't hear this phrase. Did you hear this phrase? Where was this phrase? One study found that just watching a comedy clip to bring some joy into your life before doing serious work can increase productivity. Yeah, so that funny cat video, I needed to watch that before I got to work. It's part of my essentials. It's in the book. That's what I'm going to tell my boss the next time I get caught. That's what you should tell him too. Or her. Finally, if you're going to be productive, you've got to maintain focus. This isn't easy in modern era. Information overwhelm, distractions, and interruptions cause dire consequences in both our health and our productivity. Information overload causes demoralization and lower quality work. Dealing with an endless stream of inputs or having to spend a large chunk of our day poring over data or searching for it makes us miserable. That's why we have the term analysis paralysis. We're paralyzed by too much data and too much time spent gathering and analyzing that data. This is just one reason why you should never check your email first thing in the morning. That big flood of emails causes overwhelm and reactivity, not the emotion or mindset you want to frame your day with. Instead, try some of the activities we discussed in the energy chapter. Okay, this is super weird because reading my emails first thing in the morning has me clear about who I need to do what for, and like it actually gets me jumped out of bed. So I don't understand this. Like, get rid of your spam. Pronto. Distraction is another downer. One study found that distraction lowers productivity by 20%. It's even worse if you're working on challenging mental tasks. Distractions can then slow our thinking by almost half. Several studies have shown that multitasking itself is a distraction. It is incompatible with the peak concentration states that are associated with high performance and quality work. When people multitask, they cannot fully focus on the task at hand because their brain is processing their last unfinished task. What was I doing? The final big culprit is interruptions. Most people in large organizations are interrupted several times during any given task, activity, or meeting. When they are, they have trouble focusing again and catching back up to what they were doing. I gotta answer that call. They don't bounce back to their original effort, but instead turn to, on average, 2 other tasks or projects before reorienting themselves to the original effort. Wow. So, seconds, minutes wasted on remembering what I was originally doing, and possibly not doing it. That's really sad. With my Fortune 50 clients, even the highest achieving, I've noticed that one significant interruption in the workday can throw off important and scheduled tasks by 2 to 3 hours. Calendars, to-do lists, those kind of help when you get distracted. Just saying. These facts should get you seriously disciplined about setting challenging goals and keeping your energy and focus on track. But that's hard work, and often those efforts are derailed by assumptions that it's just not possible. Too many people say they can't set larger goals or maintain energy because their work-life balance would be upended. In fact, the conversation around work-life balance has become so absurd. I'd like to address it specifically before moving on to our habits. Work-life balance debate. One of the most common ways for the modern person to maintain self-deception is to keep busy all the time. Daniel Putman. These days, many people have thrown in the towel on the concept of work-life balance. Where's my towel? My hat will just do, right? These days, many people throw in the towel on the concept of work-life balance. But not so fast. People can find balance in their lives, and to believe otherwise is terribly disempowering and inaccurate assumption. Having trained literally millions of people on the topic of productivity, I've come to realize that those who don't think work-life balance is possible believe this because either A, they've never fully made a conscious, consistent effort to define, seek, and measure that balance, or B, they simply define work-life balance using an impossible-to-achieve standard. For the first time, I'm not a type A, I'm a type B. Interesting. First, let's address the often voiced idea that work-life balance is impossible. Calling any human endeavor impossible typically proves to be a naive conceit, and this is no exception. When someone says to me that work-life balance is impossible, I remind them that human beings have crossed oceans, summited the highest mountains, built skyscrapers, landed on the moon, and guided vehicles beyond the solar system. What we are capable is remarkable, and what we will attempt is constrained only by our beliefs. And so I say to you that if you believe a better work-life balance is impossible, you have already lost the fight. This reminds me of 311. We can breathe underwater, in space, and in LA. Pretty impressive. I also remind many of my clients who have given up on this issue that they simply never tried as hard to find balance as they've tried in other efforts. They'll spend 10 months planning the achievement of a work project, but not a single day planning more balance in their upcoming week. If you won't focus as attentively on balancing your life as on achieving any other project, then you've settled the matter. In that case, don't point an accusing finger at the entire work-life balance conversation. Point the finger at the person looking at you from the mirror who simply refused to try. If we can keep an open mind in this discussion, we might realize that a major problem is the way we approach work-life balance in the first place. The great mistake most people make is to think of balance in the terms of evenly distributed hours. They think they're supposed to spend equal time on work and life. Their expectation is quantity expectation versus a quality expectation. And anytime we confuse the two, we get into trouble. They both start with Q's and have like U's and A's. And T's and Y's. Very confusing. Still, despite how many people feel they don't have balance in this regard, most in fact do. The vast majority of us spend 30% of our lives working, assuming a standard 40-hour work week, 30% sleeping, and 30% doing other stuff such as hanging with the family, pursuing hobbies or health, handling life's basic needs. Indeed, most people have a lot more time off and more time with their families than they think. It's just that they're not intentional about that time, and hence don't enjoy that time enough. It's ironic that the average American who watches 4 to 5 hours of television per day says they have no time and no balance. How are you watching that much TV? What are you watching? Because I don't see enough interesting shows. Clearly, I don't watch that much. To be fair, a lot of people do work a lot more than 40 hours per week. And in the always connected culture we live in today, where a response is expected at all hours of the day and night, it can feel as though balance is gone. That's why I think there's a better approach to thinking about work-life balance. Instead of trying to balance hours, try to balance happiness or progress in your major life arenas. Let me elaborate. When most people feel that they're out of balance, it's because one area of their life became more intense, important, and time-consuming than other areas. They got so obsessed about work that they let their health or their marriage slide, or they got so focused on a family issue that their work suffered. The solution is to keep perspective in life by keeping an eye on the quality of progress of the major life arenas. A simple weekly review of what we're after in the major areas of life help us rebalance or at least plan for more balance. I found that it's useful to organize life into 10 distinct categories: health, family, friends, intimate relationships, partner marriage, mission, work, finances, adventure, hobby, spirituality, and emotion. When I'm working with clients, I often make them rate their happiness on a scale of 1 through 10, and also rate their goals in each of these 10 arenas every Sunday night. Most of them have never done that before, but it doesn't stand to reason that only from measuring something in the first place can we determine whether it's in balance. If you aren't consistently measuring the major arenas of your life, then you couldn't possibly know what balance you seek is or is not. This activity is really just a simple check-in. I know, but you'd be surprised how powerful it is. I once gave an executive team of 16 people this weekly activity, and in just 6 weeks, they reported dramatic increases in their sense of well-being and work-life balance. Admittedly, this was a small and informal study, but nonetheless, we saw a double digits increase when nothing changed in their work or personal lives except taking time each week to assess their 10 life arenas. Sometimes just having a look at the larger picture can help us feel more in control, adjust courses needed, and yes, find more balance. That was what Athena, the school administrator at the beginning of this chapter, so desperately needed. That day in her office, I asked her to rate herself in the 10 arenas. To her surprise, she hadn't even thought about many aspects of life outside work for years. Who's to blame in that situation? Is it her boss's fault? The society we live in? No! If we're honest, our lack of attention to the important areas of our life is no one's fault but our own. What Athena discovered was that she needed a weekly ritual to assess where she was and what balance could even mean to her. The other distinction generally missed about work-life balance is that it's not so much about evenly distributed hours as about feelings. It's not about the hours you spend, but about the harmony you feel. Often people simply feel unhappy with or disconnected from their work. If you don't like your work and you have to spend a lot of time doing it, then of course you feel as though life is out of balance. You would recognize that your busy work isn't your life's work, and that dissonance would cause you mental distress. That's why it's important to live in harmony with what you truly desire and to do activities in the chapter of clarity. You'll always feel out of balance if you're doing work that you don't find engaging and meaningful. Other times, people are engaged and enjoying their work, but they're fried from too much stress and too many hours on the job. There's a fine line between busy and burnt out. I've crossed it, come back, crossed it again, come back a few more times. We can have long hours of conversation. And when you cross it, no matter how great your life is outside work, you feel out of balance. Burnout is one area of life easily scorches others. So what can we do? In the chapter on energy, we covered a lot of basic transition better, release tension, get more sleep, exercise more, eat better. The good news is that if burnout is often just a feeling of fatigue, there's also a simpler fix. If we can just give you a short mental and physical refresh, reset every hour, then you can dramatically improve how you feel, and you'll sense a significant improvement in your work-life balance. This means that for most people, they didn't need to quit their job because of work-life balance problems. They just needed to change what they did on the job. Sleep on your job, it'll help. So that they feel more energetically balanced. See, he's recommending a nap. Happily, that's easier than you may think. It can be really comfy under your desk. You just gotta take that jacket, roll it up. I can show you that later. Take a gasp break or power nap, all the same. There is a virtue in work and there is a virtue in rest. Use both and overlook neither. Alan Cohen. Your brain also needs more downtime than you probably think to process information, recover, and deal with life so you can be more productive. That's why, for optimal productivity, you should not only take longer breaks, claim your vacation time, but also give yourself intermittent breaks throughout the day. Researchers have long known that taking breaks at work leads to positive emotions and greater productivity. For simple acts such as taking a lunch break away from your desk each day can significantly increase your performance at work. Taking a short break to get outside to a nearby park for just a few minutes can give you cognitive benefits so that you return to work restored and with greater focus. If you're unwilling to move away from the desk, simply standing up intermittently at your desk to work can increase productivity by 45% compared to sitting all day. Some researchers have argued that we need these breaks because we have limited cognitive resources and we use up our psychological bandwidth or self-control. While this theory has been questioned, perhaps we don't run out of self-control and focus at all. Rather, just lose motivation. One thing is certain, working straight through the day with no breaks makes people unhappy and less productive. We've all sat at our desk and noticed our attention flagging even when we like our work. We've all felt tired even doing work we love. We've all run out of ideas even when our butt is on the line to solve a problem. In all these instances, that's your mind telling you that you need a break. We've all noticed too that simple things such as a chat at the cooler, a bathroom break, or letting our mind wander for a few minutes after lunch refreshes us. It's self-evident that our mind needs to rest to restore neurochemicals and increase our future attention. Science is so conclusive on this that most organizational experts recommend brief breaks away from their desk at least every 90 to 120 minutes to increase employee satisfaction and performance. But my research, as well as others, has shown that the number should be cut in half. If you want to feel more energized, creative, and effective at work, and still leave work with enough oomph for the life part, the ideal break point is to stop your work and give your mind and body a break every 45 to 60 minutes. Holy crap, are we being overworked? This means you shouldn't work longer at any one thing without a mental and physical break for more than an hour tops. A break of just 2 to 5 minutes every hour can help you feel much more mentally alert and energized for your work and life overall. For example, if you're going to work on an email or a presentation for 2 hours, I recommend you get up from your tray at 50 minutes in. Then take a fast stroll around the office, grab some water, come back to your chair, and do 60-second transition meditation. As a reminder from the chapter on energy, transition meditation means you simply close your eyes. Focus on deep breathing. Repeat to yourself a mantra such as, release. And then set an intention for the next activity. If you want extra credit, also ask the desk trigger question from the previous chapter on necessity. Who needs me on my A game now the most? Notice what's not included during these breaks. Checking email, text, or social media. Checking in is the exact opposite of our goal here. Checking out so we can recharge. Achievers often brush this advice off because they just want to sit and power through hours of activity at the computer or in meetings. But that's exactly why they're feeling so wiped out in their home life and thus report a terrible work-life balance. Remember, hours at home versus hours at work is not the issue. It's more about their feelings and overall sense of energy. Powering through is just bad advice. Studies of the world's top performers in dozens of fields found that they don't necessarily practice or work longer than others. Is that they're more effective in those practices sessions, or simply have more sessions, not longer ones. Putting longer hours is almost always the wrong answer if you want to reach balance. Happiness or sustained high performance is counterintuitive, but it is true. By slowing down or taking a break once in a while, you work faster, leaving more time for other areas of your life. For my clients, this 45 to 60-minute break becomes a way of life. It's a strict protocol in the first months working together. I tell them, if your butt lands in a chair, then a 50-minute timer on your phone or computer. At 50 minutes, no matter what you're working on, stand up, move, breathe, set an intention, and then return to your work. If you want the 50-minute timer I give them, just visit highperformancehabits.com/tools. The stand-up part of my advice is important. You can't just close your eyes and meditate at your desk. You need to give your body a break from the posture you've been holding while sitting. So get up, move around a bit, and do some basic stretching. If all you did was stand up every hour, close your eyes, and bounce in place while taking 10 deep, long breaths, you'd feel a total renewal of focus and productivity in your life. Can I do it on a bouncy ball? Like, those yoga balls, the string training ones? Okay, no matter where I'm sitting on the plane, in a cafe, at work, in a meeting, on the couch, I get up every 15 minutes. I do a short 2-minute physical routine of calisthenics, Qigong, and yoga paired with deep breathing. This 50-minute rule is something I never break. Even when I'm in a meeting with other people, I often make them stand and do an energizer with me, or excuse myself and go find a place to refresh for 2 or 3 minutes. Those short 5-minute breakups buy me hours of added focus and effectiveness each day. If you follow the steps outlined in this chapter, you can find greater work-life balance, so do not fear becoming more productive or seeking higher achievement. Just be sure to gauge your work-life balance every week by rating yourself in the 10 arenas of your life and having goals in each. Then take 2 to 3 minute breaks every 45 to 60 minutes of your day. That's the basics. Now let's get to the advanced practices for productivity. That's the next video.